Hello and welcome back. If this is your first time here, I am Dr. Stock, Doctor of Education, and in this video we're talking about Disney because Disney is reporting earnings tomorrow after the market closes. That is on Wednesday, August the 9th. So I think that's important to pay attention to. Plus, I believe its stock price is at a really interesting place right now that's very much worth talking about. So in this video, that's exactly what I'm going to do. But first, two windmills. We're standing on a wind farm. One windmill says to the other windmill, "Hey, what kind of music do you like?" The other windmill says, "I am a huge metal fan." Alright, this video starts off with an early warning to you. I'm probably going to get super nerdy here as I believe that it really does apply to Disney and its future. So bear with me as I talk about this. So you guys might know, if you watched other videos that I have, that I am a huge Marvel fan when it comes to the MCU, at least up until we had the end of the Infinity War, the Infinity Saga itself. I have, where is it behind me? There you go. Right there's the Infinity Gauntlet that you can see, and if I turn my chair a little bit more, maybe, and move my head, right there is Mecha Thor, made out of, they're both Legos that I have, and, well, that's just a small testament to what I have there. So what I think worked for Marvel early on was the fact that they allowed a significant amount of butt kicking, and they told compelling stories with awesome dynamic character arcs, at least in my opinion, and that it really did cater to not only the comic book nerds who had some criticism, as they always will, because you're never really going to stick to the entire story, but then you also brought in the more general audiences on top of that. And so I think Marvel really took off with that. And more recently, people have talked about superhero fatigue. And I gotta say, I didn't lose my appetite for more superhero movies. What I never had appetite for was a Lifetime movie. And I feel like recently that's what a lot of the Disney Marvel stuff has turned into, where just wah, woe is me, like, in just other stories that I'm just not interested in. So if I think back to being a small boy rather than a small 40-year-old man, when I think about that, like watching Superman, who I know is DC, but he like is way super on. Like, the guy is pretty much infinitely strong, shoots a laser out of his eyes. He's got frost breath, flies really fast. Like, you name it. And like me being that little boy, that's exactly what like I pretended to be Superman all the time. And like the Incredible Hulk was just awesome because, you know, there was Bruce Banner, who was kind of smart science guy, had a little bit of an oopsie-doopsie accident with some of the science and gamma radiation, and then when he gets angry, he turns into the Incredible Hulk, and then you have that struggle between Bruce and the Hulk, and, well, which in the MCU got reconciled into Dr. Hulk or Smart Hulk, whatever you want to call it. And then that tension, that struggle was gone, and then you don't even get to see him break anything anymore. Like, that was like, how in the world do you control that? How does Bruce control that? You know what I mean? And Mark Ruffalo's line of "That's my secret, I'm always angry," that was like just to me, an awesome moment in the Avengers film, was that he sort of had a little bit of control over hulking out. Not necessarily total control, and then that was also part of the Avengers' internal struggle too. Internally among themselves, was like how to contain him once he does start to freak out. And like a standalone Hulk film would have been awesome. Well, when you pay more attention more recently to the Marvel films, like I just watched Secret Invasion, and I know it's more recent, so if you haven't watched it and you plan to, you might want to skip this part of the video because I'm going to not necessarily spoil it, but I'll tell you what I didn't like about it. So Samuel L. Jackson, wonderful actor. I think he's absolutely incredible. And watching him play Nick Fury, he was just such a butt kicker. Like, you didn't know all he was capable of. You know, he was this pretty much normal-ish guy with just incredible ability to him, I guess would be the best way to say it. And he would always find ways out of different situations, and he always had the drop on things, and always one step ahead, and just lots of really great intelligence. And like seeing him come out of the shadows all the time, it was pretty cool to see that happen. Well, in Secret Invasion, he's tired and he's behind and he's getting his butt kicked. And honestly, like, he's just not much of a protagonist, where I feel like that was an opportunity for him to really step into that protagonist role and like be really the main spotlight of it. And that gets to my next point about Disney, and this does tie back to finance, I promise it. So hopefully you stuck with me. And if you're also a Marvel fan, let me know down in the comments. And if you're not, but you used to be, like, what exactly changed about that? So when I think more recently about other films that they've had, like Ant-Man Quantumania, Ant-Man was not the protagonist in it. It was like a bait and switch, and that felt bad. I wanted to see Ant-Man. I wanted to be entertained by Ant-Man. I wanted to see him struggle and have something to overcome. He didn't even have to do it by himself. It's fine to have those supporting characters. And then if you want a movie that has other characters as the main protagonist, it would be very common to name the movie after that protagonist, or not name it after any of the characters at all, but do have a protagonist in it. But the whole bait and switch thing, I really don't think works well for audiences. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, I don't think that Doctor Strange was the main protagonist in that film. Like, he was sort of sharing the spotlight, if you will. And then when I think about, let's even go on to Captain Marvel, with the Marvels coming out later this year, I think it is, or maybe it got postponed, I'm not even sure anymore. I was fine with the first one being an origin story. I liked her appearance in Infinity War. I liked her taking on Thanos, but not necessarily being able to handle him when he combined with the Power Stone, all that kind of stuff. But they even, like, sort of pushed her aside instead of having her own movie, where honestly, we wanted to see her go galactic and cosmic and just absolutely take on some of the more powerful villains, and that never really happened. So that gets to my point when it comes to the entertainment side of Disney, is that it feels as though they've forgotten that they're an entertainment company. Here, let me bring up Moo real quick, just because I want to show you the industry that they're in. So let me drop that down and pop that up. There's the Disney chart, and we'll get that in a moment. Let me go over to the Markets tab real quick. This is the Moo app, by the way. And if we look at their industry, entertainment, and I really feel as though they've forgotten to entertain. And I think that, especially where the MCU, I think that it epitomizes it, that they've alienated their audiences, or they've just forgotten to entertain their audiences. And people like me, I was willing to pay for those things. I wanted to watch them. I was excited to see them come out. I had lots of anticipation. I wanted to see what else was out there, what's next, what's coming for them. You know what I mean? In a comic book type genre, where butt kicking is one of the main things that they do. So, like I said, this does all tie back to finance, and I do want to bring up Chrome here. And later in this video, I'll tell you how to get up to 16 free stocks using my link that's down in the description. But first, let's go here. Let's go to this headline: Disney, harsh new reality, costly film flops, creative struggles, and shrinking global box office. There is an algorithm for them to follow, and some creative storytelling on top of it would really help them. So if we look at Guardians of the Galaxy, which James Gunn directed, who has now left Disney, almost $1 billion at the box office. And for a third film, that's incredible. I watched it and I liked it. I think that they remembered mostly how to entertain in that film. And even though it wasn't my favorite out of the three, I still thought that it was pretty good. Elementals, it's actually doing okay. I haven't seen this one. Maybe they remembered how to entertain. Not really certain about that, but let's look at Indiana Jones. This goes back to what I'm saying about alienating your audience. It's called Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, and from what I understand from the film is that he's not even the main character in the movie, and that's weird to me. So it's fine if you want to tell a story where he's a part of it, but not the main protagonist. Well, then name it after somebody else. And let's talk about non-Disney for a moment, because I got a great example of this. So Harry Potter. I was a Harry Potter fan as well. I don't have any of that stuff back here. My oldest daughter has her whole room decked out in Harry Potter type stuff, and I made a picture for her, and she loves Harry Potter. She's reread the series and everything. So she and I have talked repeatedly about the idea that Hermione Granger is an underdeveloped character, one that if J.K. Rowling wanted to tell an independent story about Hermione, about things from Hermione's perspective, and call it something like the trials and tribulations of Hermione Granger, I don't know, or the something about the the development of genius about Hermione Granger, something like that. Like, it could be an awesome story. Don't call it Harry Potter and then make it about Hermione. That's exactly what I feel that Disney's done with a lot of their films, and that's why I think a lot of them, among other reasons. But I think I think forgetting that entertainment side of things and also kind of like trying to sell on names and then tell a different story, I think that is like, it's almost false advertisement at that point in time. So if we look to movies that did entertain, Top Gun, I know, stood out. Almost $1.5 billion at the box office worldwide. So you had just a huge number of people who are Top Gun fans from back in the day. I think my one brother-in-law is probably one of the biggest fans of it. He talked about that movie for decades. And when the new Top Gun came out, he was there to watch it in the theaters, and I held off to watch it. I wanted to hear what people had to say first, and word of mouth really is powerful, and that's something that they're saying about Elementals for Disney, that word of mouth is going much farther than the advertisements are. But Top Gun Maverick remembered how to entertain and delivered, and that worked, whereas Indiana Jones, I don't think they remembered how to entertain and it under-delivered. And when we go to John Wick, I just wanted to show this real quick. So when you look at this, $86 million for the first John Wick at the box office. But let me zoom in here, where we have John Wick Chapter 2. Double what the first John Wick did. When we go to John Wick 3, we almost doubled again. And then we go another half again for John Wick 4. And I don't know if you've seen the John Wick movies. All I gotta say, now mind you, I'm not telling you to go watch it because I don't know what kind of movies you have a taste for. And I definitely don't endorse violence, but I will say that they remembered butt kicking. As a matter of fact, butt kicking was all that John Wick was about. They remembered how to entertain, and they knew how to cater to an audience. So the reason that I bring it up, Disney, if they remember that there's a huge audience that's just waiting for them to remember how to entertain, I think that they could bring a lot of people back. Let's look at what they have coming up for earnings, and then we'll move into the chart because I think they're at a really interesting point right now with their price action. So bring this up here. So Disney earning announcement, you can see that it's August the 9th in the after hours. So when we look at this, for the earnings per share that we have for Disney, the dark blue, which is on the left, is what's estimated. The light blue is what's reported. And you can see they beat, they missed, they beat, they beat a little bit, and then we'll see on the next one. And you can see some seasonality that also goes with this. So we'll have to look and see what Q2 looks like. It should be much better than Q3, although the Q3 for 2023 looks much stronger than it did for Q3 of 2022. What in the world are we looking for this? Well, certainly Disney Plus has got to be the big part, and I got to say their live action stuff I find very underwhelming. It's unoriginal, and it just feels uninspired when I watch them. And, for some people like, oh, that's so nice to watch that come over. Maybe I'm just the wrong person for it. This is just my opinion on that stuff. But I do, if I want to continue being a Disney Plus subscriber, please return back to entertainment and keep on pushing the creative envelope to really build onto that subscriber base. And stop doing things, and this is just on the business side, stop doing things that alienate your core audience unless you're seeking out another audience. And if that's the case, then that audience better be bigger and paying more from a business perspective than the audience that you're leaving behind. For the quarter, for the earnings forecast, 99 cents per share, the high estimate being $1.13, the low estimate being 82 cents that we have. And that's a pretty big discrepancy between the two of them. It looks like it's 14 to 17 cents either way. So just split that right down the middle, and we'll just call it 15 to 16 cents to either side of that. And so that's by the forecast, which they're not always close, but we'll see. There have been some discussions about park numbers being down as well. So we're going to have to listen for that. So let me go over to what they have for the stock prices for this, because this is where I think it gets really interesting. Let me collapse that so it's a little bit bigger on the screen. You can see that Disney is all the way back to where it was at in 2015. So that's an 8-year reversal in its stock price. When we look at this and look at the pandemic, the shares bottomed out at about $79 per share. And then when we go over to where we're at right now, we're shy of 10% higher than where it was at the low trough that the pandemic had caused. Ran up to over $200 per share, and Disney Plus was definitely part of all the rage right there that really helped it run up despite what we had for parks. And then there's also speculation about pent-up demand for travel, which proved to be true. Disney also benefiting from that, and that subscriber growth, which should be high margin for Disney, has sort of fallen off a cliff. So what I think is interesting about this, and I think this is really worth paying attention to, Disney has gone through an extended sell-off, and it looks like it's set up for just a further drop. As a matter of fact, if we do drop, I think it takes us down below where the pandemic puts us. I think that we could have a very hard falling out from where it's at right now. So I think that there's big movement to be found with Disney. If you're looking for an options play, maybe a long straddle in something like this, you buy the put, you buy the call, and see exactly where it takes you. So those are the thoughts that I have for how to play Disney's earnings. If you're looking to, the options are the way to go. The reason is they've been beaten down so much recently. Just the news couldn't be any worse, in my opinion, for Disney right now, that there's such a negative sentiment on it that the contrarian view starts to make a lot of sense for Disney. And now, mind you, macroeconomic factors could impact that. So if there's more talk about recession, if we see more economic weakness, that could be bad for their parks, and people could further shrink away from the Disney Plus subscribers, which would also hurt them. And then, the ads don't matter if the subscribers aren't there in the first place. So that's definitely something worth paying attention to. So the contrarian view starts to make sense. I don't know if it's right now. I don't know if we're at bottom right now, but now is a point in time where it's sitting at rather historic support. I mean, let me put that chart back up there, and you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, almost 6, 7, 8 times retesting support, and we have significant downward pressure. We're below the moving averages. Like, there's so much here from a technical perspective that looks like we go lower. From a fundamental perspective, if it doesn't look as though they're turning tide, if it doesn't look like they're turning ship, if they don't give great guidance moving forward, if they don't talk about something that excites people moving forward, fundamentally, this could also continue to break down from where it's at. Now, I know that's a lot of commentary, but I do want to put this up there that if you want to help support yourself, get access to a wonderful trading app that we have through Moomoo, you can get up to 16 free stocks using my link that's down in the description. You sign up using that link, make your deposit of $100 or more and get your free stocks. $100 gets you 5 free stocks. Every tier of deposit gets you a $50 cash reward. For $1,000 and $5,000, you get 15 free stocks. And at that $5,000 level, you get a free share of Tesla or XPE. That offer does expire at the end of this month. So check it out. Take advantage of it. Thank you for the support. And also, shake your hands and thank yourself for the support. Pat yourself on the back as well by taking advantage of that. If you guys like the commentary that I have and you would like to hear more of that commentary, please consider using the link down in the description for the Patreon. Get access to my Patreon exclusives. I put my Tesla stock price prediction and earnings forecast over there. That is up, available. You can download it. You can mess around with the spreadsheet. You can do whatever it is that you want to do with it. You can ask questions about it. Also, my NVIDIA stock price prediction and NVIDIA earnings forecast, which comes up on August the 23rd. That's also available over at the Patreon, as well as my CPI forecast that I have not only for this month, but then all the way through October. I think that's also worth checking out. I have a video that accompanies the spreadsheet, so you can check out my research. You can check out my commentary on that through exclusive access through the Patreon. So let me summarize with this. 10% either direction, possibly bigger for Disney based on their earnings. It is possible we see lows beyond what the pandemic is, or at least we retest those pandemic lows, or we possibly go up and tickle that 200-day simple moving average that's on the charts. Like I said, 10% either way. I'll put my stamp on it. We'll see what happens with Disney. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked it and you would like to hear more of my commentary, like I said, Patreon link down in the description. Check out my exclusive access that I have over there, as well as access to my private Discord community, which this Disney video is inspired by somebody who asked about Disney in the Discord. So thank you for the question and hope you like my video. Let me know what you think about it down in the comments. Don't forget about your free stocks through Moomoo as well. Helps literally keep the lights on in this studio. I can't do it without your support. So thank you for watching this video. Thank you if you take advantage of the other offers that I have here. I am Dr. Stock, Doctor of Education. Remember, my friends, that learning is earning, and we'll see you in the next video.